Once again into the fray, we continue with our turn-by-turn playthrough of Axis and Allies 1942 Online, my first game ever against the hard AI. We hope you'll join us here on Legendary Tactics. And we begin round 6, and to be honest, I really didn't know, I honestly did not think that we would be at this stage of things. I thought that the Axis would fall a lot easier than they did, but that's okay. Challenge is good, and so we're going to take a quick look at Russia's situation here. Archangel is open. There's some tanks and a fair amount of forces there. However, there's going to be this one Russian troop here wandering around into Poland and kind of causing some havoc. And we'll see what we can do to reinforce that as well. This is not going to be a move where there's going to be a heck of a lot of attacks at this point. We're going to buy up some troops and some artillery. They're really just to spend those extra bucks. But at this point, it's a waiting game, as it usually is for the Soviets, as well as on the the Japanese front here. We're just gonna have to spread out our forces and hold our own, try and hold the Japanese back. Just buy time. That's all we need to do. Now we may need to, I don't know, depending on how the AI reacts, we may need to send some forces back there as well. But we shall see. We've got some good strategic bombing going on against the Germans. As you can see, their factories are pretty much broken down, and so we'll just have to see. As I said, the AI's held up fairly well. I thought it would be a bit more of a walkover, but anyway, we're going to place our order, and our combat move's not going to be too exciting. As I said, we're gonna stroll into Poland and cause a bit of havoc there. The rest of it, though, honestly, we're just going to have to sit tight, I think. Although, you know what? Maybe we'll disrupt the... I wonder if it's worth taking Yunnan or just sitting tight. Might be, but might be a good distraction for the Japanese if I do that. I need to make sure I'm going the offensive this turn with the forces in India. It's too bad their factories, bombed to nothingness. But I'm going to have to do an attack in Burma. We got to press the offensive there and start to make some inroads as far as that goes. And Germany will be cleared out of Africa shortly, so that'll be good. Okay, there's really nothing as far as an attack move that I want to do. So we're just going to do our non-combat movement here. Oh, I don't think, is there any combat here? No, I don't think so. So we're going to end the phase. There's no casualties taken. We did hurt both Japan and Germany with the... in IPCs, and again, my whole hope is to just starve Germany and make sure that they really don't have much in the way of they don't have much in the way of of income to pay back their to restore their forces. And I think I'll leave 2. I know I've got 6 more coming, but I think 3 and 3 is probably fine. Just wondering maybe if I should send 1 troop towards China and just to reinforce China, or potentially go into Evenki National Okrug. Might be handy just to slow down progress there. You know what? Maybe, I'm going to send both there, and I'm just going to try and split up. I'm going to move this this unit into the Ukraine just so I can potentially threaten Belarusia next turn, even if West Russia and Archangel get wiped out by these forces. But I'm just hoping to take enough casualties that it's going to be you know, worthwhile. So other than that, I don't see. Oh, I guess the Russian sub can move. We can maybe get at that German transport next turn. That was something I'd neglected to do last time. Other than that, just kind of holding my own, and that'll be it for the Russians, I think. And everything will go into Moscow at the moment. I don't need... Caucasus is not under threat from... you know what, just in case, you never know. I'll just put a couple units there, just in case. They can always retreat back to Russia if they need to, but I'm just worried about that transport suddenly picking up troops from Bulgaria, Romania, and dropping them off in the Caucasus. So I'm going to make it a little bit discouraging for that to happen. Overall, I think the position is fine for now, and we'll just have to see what happens from here. And we get 27 IPCs, which is good, and the more IPCs the better. And what's going to happen here? Oh, it looks like they are attacking my navy, trying to sink those transports, and they are yeah, well, it's spreading out their forces for sure. They are having to deal with a bunch of different threats all at once, so let's see what happens here. And the combat is nice in that it's fast, you know, it's quickly resolved. However, it is a bit of a pain in that it is sometimes I want to know what's actually going on the ground there. So can we... Is that battle still underway? Still thinking about it. Oh, good. Karelia has fallen. That will be a bit of a disruption. There's not a lot of forces there to defend. What in the heck is going on there? There's all sorts of stuff moving around. And they're building in Karelia, of course. Yeah, so interesting. So overall, yeah, I think it was a reasonably successful turn for them. However, their forces are fairly depleted here, so yeah, that's kind of an interesting situation. All right, so now what else have we got here? We've got the, let's see, it's Britain's turn here. So do we pay to repair India? How much is that going to cost us? Jeez. That's not too bad, actually. I think that's worth doing. We'll get it all the way back up to full strength, because I do need to build there for sure. All right, now let's see here. The factory in Italy looks like it's up and running. Everything looks like it's up and running. Interesting. So we've got to reinforce a little bit in the upcoming turn. It's not going to be a walk. And although maybe the opportunity is there to take back Karelia, which would be amazing if we could. That would be great. But there are, you know, some forces threatening, and they did wipe out my navy, so I've got to make sure I've got some transports. They're buying time right now for yeah, that's not good at all. Well, yeah, they really did do a number on my navy there. That is not good. They sent in some forces and wiped everything out. I'd love to get an, yeah, maybe just another destroyer. I need some defenses. I need some air defenses there for sure. So just buying into the navy at the moment. I hate to waste those IPCs, but yeah, you know what? Actually, maybe I think I am going to actually, I need to build at least a troop. So we're going to build back some transports and see how that goes. It's a bit of a risk here, but we got to do what we got to do. Okay. Not in totally in love with that order, but that's something that's definitely different about this game versus the original is the fact that the transports are just so much weaker, and it really is not a good thing. So we're gonna strike there, and we're gonna hammer him with 2 bombers next time as well. So I'm kind of stuck on land here, as far as I can tell. So what I might do, just to, if I can make it here, 1, 2, 3, can I make it that far? No. There was an old strategy that I remember my uncle and cousins always used to do, which was to fly fighters into Moscow to help shore it up, and it seems like it's a little bit harder to do in this version here. So there's not a lot. I'm kind of landlocked, actually, unfortunately. It seems to be the way it is. So, but I think pressing the offensive in from India here makes some sense. Hi there, sorry to interrupt this broadcast currently in progress. I just realized too late that my recording of the screen had stopped unexpectedly. So the unfortunately the footage is lost, as we say. So I'm just going to give a quick run through. The video seemed to have stopped just as I was attacking Burma with the Brits. So we sent a bomber in to raid Germany, to raid Manchuria, to attack Burma, and to just take over this spot in Italian East Africa. So you can see that happen. The attack on Burma barely succeeded. We did it, but it left only 1 armor. And we lost the bomber in Germany due to an unlucky roll. And the bomber in Manchuria, obviously, there's no anti-aircraft there. It did fine. And actually the factory missed its roll as well. So that did fine. And so that was the end result. We actually did 6 IPC damage in Manchuria, and so that was pretty good. As far as non-combat moved, I just moved a piece over here to Eastern Canada, maybe to get him into battle later on, and then I just retreated the bomber back to Anhui. And we put 1 infantry in India just to reinforce, and we put 2 transports and a destroyer in the area around the UK, hopefully to set up another invasion of Western Europe this turn. So the Japanese moved, and they did a lot. They ended up with their armor, they swept across, taking a bunch of territories, Evenki National Okrug, Yakut, Soviet Far East, that didn't hold. Buryatia was already there. And they also took Anhui and wiped out the forces there. So they ended up purchasing an infantry and 3 tanks, and they repaired their industrial complexes, basically was their move. So other than that, there was no dramatic combat or anything, and they just kind of shifted some forces around. And they built everything in Manchuria. So they've got a fairly strong force on the ground here. And they did some damage. So the U.S., I decided to invest in 2 cruisers, a bomber, and a destroyer. And the combat moves. So we raided Italy. Kind of funny because we landed in Italy with the tanks. I was hoping to hit the industrial complex first, but the game designers were well on top of that, and basically ended up bombing myself, which is pretty funny. I also bombed Germany. I bombed Japan, and we went all in on C-Zone 62 with a battleship, aircraft carrier, fighter, and bomber, all to wipe out the Japanese Navy, which consisted of a battleship and some transports and a cruiser and a destroyer and some other stuff. I decided to move this infantry down to Kwangtung to kind of, just steal some IPCs. And we also invaded here in the Caroline Islands. Obviously, we did not, we missed 2 rolls of 3, and he rolled a 1 with his 1 solitary infantry to beat us. So that was brutal. and carried out a successful invasion of Italy. You can see my my American armor is sitting right there. So that was very good. Now the combat, the way it broke down, we took Italy, no problem. We took Kwangtung, no problems. We lost in the Caroline Islands, and then the big battle, which unfortunately the footage is lost to time, was basically it was everything in. We destroyed a destroyer, battleship, cruiser, and 3 transports. We lost an aircraft carrier, fighter, and 1 bomber, but our battleship survived and is there to prevent any further invasion of the mainland. So that leaves us in an interesting position. I retreated the bomber to Libya here, where it's still within range of Germany. So that's good. I've started to move fighters across. So we got some fighters over to Wake Island in preparation for some further attacks. I moved a bomber to the UK. This bomber moved to the Caucasus just to reinforce. And then we started moving some transports around and loading them up, basically getting them ready, because Japan looks to be in a weak position here. As far as that goes, we can potentially, with only a tank and so forth, we can potentially look to invade the Japanese mainland this turn. Again, probably one of the faults of the AI there. And we also loaded up on the transports out this way. We've got 2 loaded transports poised and ready to attack Western Europe when the opportunity arises. So, and that's, and again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. As far as I know, there's no way to recreate that, but you can see the situation, and I think we're in relatively good position. Obviously, it looks bad right now with the with the stuff going on out this way, but I'm hoping that we can shore up China a little bit, at least contain the Japanese forces a little bit, and make sure to protect. They could go a little bit nuts here, but if mainland Japan falls, then that could be a bit decisive as well. So we'll have to see. As well as they have exposed Shanghai, Jiangsu as a capital city. So it's interesting. It could definitely be the end of the game potentially with some luck. But anyway, so anyway, I built a bomber over on the west coast, and I just put a destroyer here. I figured the naval threat is over in the Pacific, so I'm just gonna build up some forces on the east coast here to send and defend those transports so from those pesky German fighters and bombers and that sort of thing. So that's where the game sits. And again, I'm sorry about the anticlimactic finish, but at least it did finish faster. So anyway, if you are enjoying this series, please take a moment to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. I hope this game has been good to watch as well. I've been finding it more of a challenge than I expected, which is great. It's definitely not been a walk in the park. And even though the Axis are kind of in trouble, it's still been a reasonably good challenge that way. So anyway, this is NATO with Legendary Tactics.